Hello, CEI participants. This is AJ Adams, and I'm back again with another NASA Mentor video. The content of this video is mentoring various types of employees as well as leaders. And as a mentor or coach, and even a supervisor, you will be working with various types of people throughout your career. Aspiring leaders, new leaders, veteran leaders, the old guard, and even those who weren't born when the old guard became leaders themselves, and everything in between. Coaching and mentoring all of these various types of people in the education world is very, very similar to the way that you might supervise and coach highly effective educators or ineffective educators, as well as everything in between. One of the most important things is to know their background, where they've been, where they're at now, and where they'd like to be, just like we've discussed in prior videos, whether you're a supervisor of an employee or whether you are mentoring somebody. One effective tool that I've found, no matter if they're a brand new leader or a veteran leader, is to determine where they might land on the skill-will matrix. This matrix assesses two dimensions, both skill and will. Skill on this matrix is an individual's capability based on his or her experience with the task or position, the training, the knowledge, and natural ability that that person has. Now, when I refer to a task all throughout this video, it could mean one particular task within that position that they're completing, or it could mean just the entire position themselves. Will is an individual's desire to complete a particular task based on their own attitude, potential incentives, their confidence, and their personal feelings about completing the task or the job. People's skill and will levels vary along a scale from low to high. The skill-will matrix is used to identify the individual's combination of skill level and their willingness to accomplish the specific task at hand or the job that they find themselves in. This is divided up into 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1 is high will, high skill. That is a person who has both skill and will to perform the task or job. This person is often an experienced person who is looking for more opportunities to grow and develop themselves. Now, if I were a betting man, I would imagine that most of you who are watching these videos would be in this quadrant. Quadrant 2, that is low will, high skill. This is a person who has the skill, but not the will nor the motivation to complete the task or job. This is often a very skilled, experienced person who may have hit a plateau, or they might be burned out and is in desperate need of a new challenge. Quadrant 3 is low will, low skill. This is a person who has neither the skill nor the will to complete the task or to be successful in that position. This is often a person who has started a new task or job that they did not desire or that they did not choose. This person may also not have had the proper onboarding training to become successful. However, this may also be a new employee who has low confidence in themselves and who is afraid to fail. Quadrant 4, high will, low skill, is a person who has the desire to complete the task or perform the job, but they lack the necessary skills. Typically, this is a person new to a particular position who is enthusiastic but lacks the skill or the specific knowledge that's needed to become successful. Here's another version of this matrix with some suggestions on choosing the best management or coaching style for individuals who fall within certain quadrants. The quadrant that is in green, Empower, represents quadrant 1, high will, high skill. Often, this individual is looking for more opportunities to grow and develop. Therefore, the goal of this style is to empower and stretch them and provide growth opportunities. Suggestions for empowering them: provide freedom in completing tasks, encourage them to take responsibility, involve them in decision-making, ask for his or her opinion, praise and recognize and reward their success, as well as provide them with opportunities to take on tasks that they might otherwise not have. Remember the delegation section? Now back to praising and rewarding people's successes. When you praise and recognize anybody, it's a really good idea to be cognizant of the type of praise and recognition that the individual values. For example, some people absolutely hate to be called out in public. in front of their peers during a meeting to be praised, even if it's for something positive. Now, they may value a handwritten note or letter way more than anything else. So just be cautious of how you praise and when you praise. The quadrant in orange represents quadrant 4, high will, low skill. Now, this is the guide quadrant. This group typically is composed of people who are new to a particular task or job. They're often enthusiastic, but they lack the skills or knowledge needed to be successful. Therefore, we find it best to invest early on in building and supporting their skills. So some suggestions for guiding them is to identify and provide the necessary skills and training and tools to complete their job. Make sure that you set clear expectations with them, and also create a risk-free environment to allow for learning and allow for mistakes. Remember, we talked about making mistakes, and people often learn way more from making a mistake than playing it safe and doing something the way that it's always been done. For this person, it's also great to find teachable moments and frequently check for understanding, since they are new to the position typically, or new to the skill sets that they're learning. And of course, providing frequent feedback and providing praise and recognize and rewarding their success. The blue quadrant, motivate, represents quadrant 2, low will, high skill. This group is often composed of experienced people who may have hit a plateau and need a new challenge. They have the skills and ability, but simply they're not motivated. Many of those in this group have been motivated at some point, but over a period of time, they've lost that motivation. It may be due to boredom, frustration, lack of recognition, or other reasons. Therefore, it's first important to identify the reasons for their low motivation. Think about incoming freshmen into high school. Typically, they are so excited to be out of the middle school and finally into the big leagues, right? And compare them to second semester seniors, senioritis, right? They are so done with high school and they just want to graduate and move on with their lives. So these people could be in this category. So suggestions for motivating. Discuss what would motivate them. Ask what has motivated them in the past. I found it highly, highly effective while specifically working with employees that might be in this category, that I go through their old evaluations, and I find highly effective evaluations that they've earned in the past. It could be 5 years ago, it could be 10 years ago. And we sit down and we have a discussion, and I ask them, what is different now than back then? And just sitting back and listening from a supervisory point of view, you can learn a ton just with that method alone. Also, develop intrinsic and extrinsic motivations and incentives for this person. And of course, praise, recognize, and reward success. The last quadrant is the purple one, which is direct. Direct represents quadrant 3, low will and low skill. With this group, you have to build both will and skill at the same time. This is often a person who has started a new task or a job that they did not desire, or perhaps they were placed into a position that they did not want or apply for. However, this may also be a beginner and somebody that is brand new in a position, or somebody that has low confidence and who's afraid to fail. Remember again what we said about failing. Therefore, it's first important to identify the reason or reasons that they fall within this category with having low will and low skill. Now, by looking at this person, I'm sure that you'll be able to find some similarities which students in our classrooms may also show low will, low skill. And especially after some of them experience failure year after year, it does become obvious why they don't have high will. So some suggestions for directing this individual with the low will, low skill quadrant. First, you have to determine the reason for the low will. And you have to determine the reason for them having a low skill level as well. You need to first try and get them motivated before building skill sets. Start them off with positivity. And again, I kind of try to relate everything back to a classroom of students, right? So maybe this particular person, employee, person that you're mentoring, or student, maybe they've known nothing but failure their entire lives, or they've known nothing but failure recently or lately. So I look at it as kind of like the first week of school, right? You're going to have students that have experienced nothing but receiving Fs every year, and have experienced nothing but negativity at home and in the school setting. So start the year off right. Give them an A on their first assignment. It could be anything, but praise them and at least have them experience some positivity instead of hammering them first with negativity, which that's not going to help their skill level, and it clearly isn't going to help their will level. Another idea is to discuss what would motivate them. What would motivate this person to ramp up that will level in order for them to learn the skills that they need? And by developing intrinsic and extrinsic motivations, as well as incentives. You could also identify necessary training and tools that would help them learn the skills that they need to learn to be successful. With this person, of course, you have to set clear expectations and boundaries. You have to provide frequent feedback. And, of course, finally praise, recognize, and reward success. As you can see, these are two great metrics to generate discussions with your leadership teams, as well as providing direction with supporting employees that you may supervise and those that you may mentor that fall within these different quadrants. So here are your next steps. Number one, discuss the two matrix models with your mentee and talk about the following questions. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of formal mentorship programs where mentors are automatically assigned to you just because you're new to the position. Describe various strategies that you might use with mentoring an aspiring leader, strategies that you might use with mentoring a new leader, as well as veteran leaders. Identify examples of people who fall within these quadrants and what might be done to help them grow and move into a different, better quadrant. And finally, I will ask, where do you fall within the skill-will matrix? Have you always been in the quadrant that you're at now? Why or why not? As always, go out there and strive to become a better leader today than you were yesterday. I want to thank you so much. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.